Oh, good morning. It's Monday. Work day again, guys. And just to keep you guys occupied at work, and the very ultimate point of this video is, yes, it's the Marksman Hunter, but what is more important, it's the beginning of the end for our basic class guides, and we're going to be moving to the advanced guides soon. We only have the final run of all the specs to do for each of our classes. We've done 20 class guides so far, and that means there's only, well, there's 11 left technically because I've got to do 2 druid ones. But this is the final rundown, guys, and we're doing them in order. Marksman Hunter was once been asked for a long time, and it is the current top DPS spec in raiding, so it's no doubt you guys have been asking for it. So here we are. It's Marksman Hunter. This is Preacho and EU Sylvanas. We're going to do the full Monty. We're going to be doing these glyphs, these talents, things you should be walking about. Marksman Hunter is a very dangerous minefield to get into, you guys, and I'm going to explain to you as best I can. I make it as simple and easy to understand as possible as to why the Marksman is a great spec to have, but why it also runs into all sorts of sort of issues, okay? So bear with me, we're going to get through it. We're going to do a full heroic demonstration as well, of course, to show you exactly what you should be thinking about and what you should be doing inside your heroics. So, all the good stuff is coming. So, Preacho Sylvanas, his gear level is pretty decent. It's 356. He's okay for Zul'Man's Lugru. He's picked up some various gears like that. So his gear's not too shabby. So, what are our stat priorities? Agility, of course, agility. Agility gives us all sorts of goody stuff, some crit and some attack power, and yum. We like agility. So your gemming is going to be very agility focused. As we've said in all our guides, guys, cast your mind back. We've done everything we can possibly do. Is agility, if you can gem for something that you can't reforge to, that has to be your priority. It needs to be there. And we cannot reforge to agility, so we need to gem for agility. And when we're gemming, we're looking at our gem bonuses. Does it give us more agility than we would get by gemming it? No, then we're gemming straight agility regardless of the set bonus. Alright, guys? Very simple. Our other stats, hit mainly. Got to get your hit done. You see, I've got 8.04% hit. That is pretty much bang on the money. The actual hit rating you need not to have any of your crap miss is 961 rating. I'm at 966, 5 rating over. Really beautiful. You should be reforging to getting that hit cap mainly. What comes next? This is where it gets messy, guys. And please bear with me while I try and explain this to you. Why does it get messy? Because of haste. Haste severely... Haste is the bane of all marksmanship hunters. If you were to check a guide such as Elitist Jerks, for example, Elitist Jerks is the #1 source for all raiding end-level players to push their DPS to the very ultimate max. If you go on their website and you check out the Marksmanship Hunter thread, which I have done, you will see endless pages of haste values. And why? Because let me explain to you. Between all our main casts, which in our Marksmanship Hunter's case is basically Chimera Shot and some Arcane Shots is the spec I'm going to be playing, is Arcane Shot filler, and I'll explain more on what I mean by that later. Oh god, I can feel the stress already. We can only fire off a certain amount of steady shots. This is your steady shot. This is your other filler that generates focus for you. Let me dump some focus quickly. There goes our focus. Bye. Great. Watch what happens when we cast a steady shot.
Move in from
we get a big chunk of focus back. Okay. Now, what happens is haste affects how long the cast of steady shot takes. Steady shot for me in this spec takes 1.8 seconds. You can see it just down there. 1.8 seconds, 1.6 with this buff improved steady shot. But we'll get to that later in the talents. So we have this 1.6 seconds or 1.5 seconds or whatever you want to call it, cast of steady shot. More haste is going to reduce that down. Now, this becomes haste barriers, where X amount of haste will allow you to cast, say, 3 steady shots between it being able to cast another Chimera Shot and your focus being full. Okay. When we have more haste, what we start to do is get an overlap, where you've got too much haste in the regards that you can't actually use that haste to fit in another steady shot. Alright? And if you have too much haste, you're then in a situation where you're just wasting that haste, because you need a certain amount of haste to reach the next point where you can cast another steady shot in between. So we need to get our steady shots to the point where we can cast, say, 3, then we can Chimera Shot and Arcane Shot. And then with the next chunk of haste has to at least be able to get us to cast 4 steady shots. And that is a lot of haste, don't get me wrong. That is a big chunk of haste, like 2,000 haste rating to get up to the next steady shot level. So when we're reforging, we're aiming to sort of reach a level where we cast a certain amount of steady shots, and then we don't want any more haste until we can guarantee we can get enough haste to reach the next steady shot filler. I hope I've explained that clearly enough to you guys. That is the basis of it. We need enough haste to cast X amount, get a bit algebraic on you bad boys, to cast a certain amount of steady shots before we have to start using our fillers. And if we can't get enough haste to cast another full steady shot in between there, then we've got too much haste. Really easy stuff, okay? We've got wasted haste that isn't going any benefit to us. In starter gear, non-raid specs, I'm suggesting you go for a haste of about 620 rating, about there. What you want to do for a test is if you're under rapid fire, there's rapid fire, how long does it take to cast aim shot? That's what you want to do with improved steady shot. Let me get me improved steady shot up. There it is. You should be looking for about 1.5 to 1.7 seconds under a haste effect to cast aimed shot. All right, guys? That is the sort of figure you want to do. Make it easy on yourself. And after that, you're going to need at least another 2,000 odd rating. I think it's about 2,200 haste rating in order to fit in another steady shot in between. That's what you want to be aiming for. All right, guys? Work off those benefits. Don't stress your mind too goddamn much. Don't want to do that. If it stresses you out too much, don't bother with it. So, when it comes to our reforging, what do we want? We want our hit mainly. You see I've reforged some hit there, taking away a bit of haste because I couldn't benefit from that haste going forward. I just could not get enough haste to fit in another steady shot. So you need to bear this in mind all the time. And when you get a new piece of gear for a Marksman Hunter, it's a nightmare. You have to reforge sort of everything to get to a good level. These are your general basis. You want hit. You want enough haste to make sure you can fit in an extra steady shot or remove haste. Otherwise, looking at these ratings, we'll go into in the advanced guides, guys. I will be talking about these specific values. This is the basic guide for guys who just want to get into heroic and start doing some decent DPS. After that comes crit. Crit is always massively important for hunters. We need our abilities to be critting all the time because most of our DPS actually comes from auto shooting, as I'm doing now, because we do that constantly while we're doing everything else. Auto shot is vastly important. And then at the bottom, mastery. Although mastery and crit are sort of on the borderline, guys, of how good each others are. Let's talk about the mastery a little bit. View summaries, marksman. Our mastery is wild quiver. Grants a 35% chance to your ranged attacks to also instantly fire an additional range shot. Each point of mastery increases that chance by another 2.1%. So we get free auto attacks from our mastery. This can be a bit of a make or break on marksman hunters, depending on your level of mastery. Is if wild quiver doesn't proc a great deal, then you're going to lose DPS without anything you could have done to change it. And then if it procs nicely, you're going to get a big boost in DPS that you weren't particularly expecting, but it's happened anyway. Anything that works off a proc chance for mastery, I don't particularly like. I like mastery to be pretty set, but Wild Quiver is an RNG element, a random number generator element. The game will decide whether or not it's procced or not you. So you need to bear that in mind, which is crit is generally more reliable. Get a nice flat percentage on that. So let's jump into our talents before we get too balls deep. I don't want to take your taters deep and leave you in a mess. First of all, pick up a finisher. Reduce the focus cost of your arcane shot and your explosive shot and chimera shot by 6. Obviously, if they're cheaper, you get to cast more of them. That's just basic stuff. I then going to go for the throat. Your ranged auto shot critical hits. Now that does proc from Wild Quiver. Cause your pet to generate 10 focus, and your pet is going to go ahead and just do more damage. That then gives us Sick'em. When you critically hit with your arcane shot, you can see now why crit is starting to become quite important. Aim shot, explosive shot, the focus cost of your pet's basic attack is reduced by 100%, so he gets a free attack in, and your pet is going to do plenty of DPS for you. Alright, guys? Improved steady shot. You heard me talk about this a little bit before. When you steady shot twice in a row, your ranged attack speed will be increased by 15% for 8 seconds. So we want to get that up quickly, because we want to keep that buff up. 15% haste is massive. It's going to add on top of our stats. And then when we get that buff, we're definitely going to be keeping it up, because we'll be steady shotting very, very regularly. Alright, guys? Careful aim. This is a little bit of a tricky one, and it's been altered because it was very, very overpowered. Increase the critical strike chance of your steady shot, cobra shot, and aim shot by 60% on targets that are above 90% health. This actually completely changes our rotation on a boss as we start. So marksmen have got a lot to keep on their mind, guys, and I'll try and demonstrate it for you. So we've got a boss, let's take, because they generally stay above 90% health for longer than anything else. I said this is an arcane shot filler spec. There's two things you can use your focus on in between chimera shots. Chimera shots are your big one. You want to keep chimera shot going because it increases sort of serpent sting and all that kind of good jazz. But we have aim shot or we have arcane shot. Now the difference is aim shot on its own has a cast time, pretty long cast time, but hits like a fucking truck. See, 40k crit. Arcane shot is instant cast, cheaper, and crits for about 15k. All right. So what do we do? Which one should we use? I prefer Arcane Shot in general, but when we're above 90% health on the boss, or not your health, remember this is what the target's health is, Our aim shot has an additional 60% crit chance. This is why testing on a dummy for a marksman hunter is retarded, because it's always above 90% health. It's probably won't crit now, but there you go, it crit. So you're getting this improved crit chance by 60%. It's huge. So when we pull and we've got 90%, all occasions, guys, you're going to be using aim shot to use your focus up. Aim shot is going to be what you use until it gets to below 90% health because of careful aim. We've got a 60% buff to our crit. We need to make the most use of that. So our steady shots are going to be really heavy critting, and our aim shots are going to be really heavy critting. It's that powerful that it's sometimes not even worth putting Serpent Sting up first, which you think would be normal play, because quite frankly, we're getting 60% crit on a really hard hitting attack. So it's worth sort of aim shotting and steady shotting all the way till it hits 90% health, and then we can start going into our usual rotation. So bear careful aim in mind. Piercing shots, don't have to do anything with this, it's going to happen on its own. Your critical aim, steady and chimera shots cause the target to bleed for 30% of the damage dealt. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Just let that go. Bombardment. When you critical, I take this for heroics, guys. You don't always need this, especially if you're doing sort of a single target focus build. But we always do our videos to take the perspective of you're running heroics and you're gearing up. So we pick up bombardment. When you critically hit with your multi-shot, your next multi-shot's focus cost will reduce by 50%. We don't have the ability to AoE like Survival does. Marksmanship does not have that AoE power. But through bombardment, we can certainly make up for that. We're still going to be keeping our explosive trap on top of the mobs, and we're going to be firing off multi-shots and using our steady shot in between. Remember, it's steady shot, it's not Cobra shot. For Marksman, we use steady shots, and that's going to fill up our focus to fire off more multi-shots, and through bombardment, we're going to be able to throw off more multi-shots in between. True Shot Aura, this is our raid buff that our Marksman guys bring. Increase the raid attack power of your party by 10% all raid, same as the Abomination's Might from a Blood DK, rather nice buff. Termination. I just love that name. Your steady shot and cobra shot abilities grant an additional 6 focus when dealt on targets are below 25% health. So we start getting more focus to do more attacks, sort of an execute phase, and then we can obviously start mixing that in with kill shot. It sort of offsets the extra focus that's going to cost us 4 kill shot. Okay, guys? Really good. Rapid recuperation, you gain 12 focus every 3 seconds while under the effects of rapid fire, and you gain 50 focus instantly when you gain rapid killing. Okay, now rapid killing isn't something major, we don't really pick that up. That's up there, we haven't even tallied for that, but what we do get is 12 focus every 3 seconds while under rapid fire. Rapid fire is a huge haste buff for us. We're going to be firing off a lot of abilities, gaining a lot of focus, and we're going to be just continuously dumping arcane shots in all the way through our rapid fire. Really good. Rapid fire is also going to help us fire off more and more we're going to generally use rapid fire at the beginning of the fight to get it on cooldown. And we're going to be filling that with aim shots, and all this extra 12 focus while we run to rapid fire is really going to help us fire off more aim shots at above 90% health. So this is why you'll see marksman hunters, as soon as the pull starts, doing ridiculous DPS, especially the geared ones, are pulling sort of 50, 60k DPS at the beginning, all thanks to this sort of combo. Master Marksman, you have a 60% chance when you steady shot to gain the Master Marksman effect lasting 30 seconds. After reaching 5 stacks, your next aim shot's cast time of focus are reduced by 100% and it becomes instant cast. Woohoo! 3 aim shots which crit really, really hard. The only problem with this, it's 60% chance. You can't predict it. You might be a clever ass and you see on your buffs that you have 4 stacks of Master Marksman, or MMM as the Marksman guys likes to call it. Doesn't matter a bit, because if you've got 4 and you think, well, I'm going to fire off this steady shot, that's going to give me 5, and then I'm going to have instant, so I'm already going to spam that aim shot button, it might not proc. You need to wait for it to proc until you fire it off. Unfortunately, that's just life. Readiness. When activate this ability, immediately finishes the cooldown of all hunter abilities. Why does that matter to us, and why is that a good DPS cooldown? Because it instantly resets rapid fire. So we can rapid fire, use readiness, rapid fire again. Also awesome for deterrence. If you come under some seriously heavy gumph and you fire off your deterrence so you don't take any damage, you can readiness and get it back again. We are generally using that for rapid fire and deterrence on cooldown. Okay, guys, so if you do fire off a rapid fire, go ahead and readiness it and fire it off again. Let's get those DPS cooldowns on cooldown. And then when readiness finishes again alongside rapid fire, yum, 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 we can do it again. Post haste. How professional. How very British. Reduce the cooldown of your rapid fire by 2 minutes, and your movement speed is increased for 30% for 4 seconds after you use disengage. A little bit of survival talent, nothing major there, but a nice cooldown on our major DPS cooldown, all thrown together. Yum yum. Marked for death, your arcane shot and chimera shot have a 100% chance to automatically apply the marked for death effect. Mark for death is the same as the Hunter's Mark, but is undispellable, does not grant an unerring sight to the target. So we just get a free Hunter's Mark. In general, we're going to be Hunter's Marking before we pull anyway, so we have the buff up from Hunter's Mark. So it's okay. It's good for switching targets. That's what it's for. We're switching targets in the middle of combat. We don't want to waste a global cooldown casting Hunter's Mark. Mark for death is going to do it for us anyway. We just throw an arcane shot on there. Boom, it's marked. And our final talent is the Chimera shot. Absolutely awesome. An instant shot that causes ranged weapon damage plus 12,579, so which means it hurts a lot, refreshing the duration of your Serpent Sting and healing you for 5% of your total health. Basically, this is our cooldown, our shot that we're going to keep on absolute cooldown. We need to make sure we've always got enough full focus there ready for it to party off. And when it does, it's going to keep our Serpent Sting ticking over so we don't have to worry about Serpent Stinging again. So, Marksman, as you can tell very straight off the bat, it's a very single target focused build. Only Bombardment actually buffs our AoE in any way whatsoever, unlike the Survival Tree where we had Serpent Spread and all that good jazz. Marksman is very heavy single target. If you haven't got more than, say, 3 mobs, AoEing is going to be a waste of time. You want to go ahead and single target those down, alright guys? So in other trees, we go into survival, we get pathing because haste is important to us. We want to buff our other stats as importantly as possible. Pathing, 3% haste is a lot of rating, guys. Go ahead and grab pathing. Got to make it easier to reach those early stats that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. I then go with one with nature, increase the attack power bonus of your aspect of the hawk by 3% and increase the amount of focus restored by your aspect of the fox by 3%. Both aspects we'll use a lot, especially if we're moving in or getting in position for a pull, we'll be using fox. And if we're going to be single targeting, 30% increase is great for aspect of the hawk. Bestial Discipline. Our pet doesn't do as much damage as a BM Hunter, obviously. You know, state the obvious, preach, you big nerd. But this is going to help anyway because he's always attacking. He's generally always safe. We don't worry too much about our pet unless something stupid happens to him. Increase the focus regeneration of your pet by 20%, so he's getting some yummy focus for some DPS. And Frenzy. Your pet gains 4% attack power after... Your pet gains 4% attack speed after attacking with a basic attack lasting for 10 seconds. You only need 2 out of 3 in there. It stacks, which is great. See, Frenzy effect is up to 5. We only need 2 points in there to really get that working up. 4% is plenty and we can't afford the points anywhere else. Simple as. Quick review of the pet talents. I'm not going to go balls deep into this. I haven't got them in, so I'll do that later. Glyph of Arcane Shot. These are your glyphs. Alright guys, Glyph of Arcane Shot deals 12% more damage. I'm using an Arcane Shot centric build. Really good. Glyph of Steady Shot, increased damage done by a steady shot. That's what we're filling in with all the time. It's a huge, that is the most important glyph of all, guys. Believe me, you're going to be doing that many steady shots. It's really, really important. Glyph of Chimera Shot, reduce the cooldown of your Chimera Shot by 1 second. Not amazing, but considering the effect it has, and it's a very, very hard hitting spell, we want to be doing that. Really, really good. Alright guys, so that's me covered for everything. I'll do the pet talents as I get into the heroic. I'll do a run through with you. That's the Marksman Hunter. I'm going to do the heroic demonstration for you now. Stay tuned.